I had received 6 patents when I was at MIT in large screen displays and had licensed those to a company called Advent Corporation in Cambridge because they made the first projection television, and they made a very unique picture tube, and I had patents on that type of tube that used my type of phosphor. So I knew they were having troubles. They'd actually declared bankruptcy, and it really threw me for a loop. I was in my office at UK, it's when I was still on faculty, and got a phone call from their vice president, and he said, would you help us sell our picture tube manufacturing equipment to RCA, Raytheon, or General Electric? Because he said, we know you want that tube to stay alive, and you have contacts with those people. So I told him I'd have to think about it, and I'd call him back. There's some real urgency on their behalf because they were getting ready to get shut down. So I walked across the street and went over to the Arby's that's still there, and sat in a front booth and just really thought about, all right, what does this mean? What's the situation? If came to the conclusion, it's almost that if Raytheon, RC, or GE bought that equipment, they would have stripped it and used it for their more normal TV picture tubes, because projection TV just didn't have a market at that time. Interest rates were very high. It was in 1982. Interest rates were around 22%, and $3,000 TVs weren't selling very much. And it just hit me. From say it's as if the Lord came to me and said, if you're going to get a company going, this is your chance. You got to take a risk, and you've got to get that equipment yourself. And so I went back and I called Tom, and I said, if I can get a good enough deal from you, I'll move your equipment here to Kentucky. I'll set it up and I'll make picture tubes for you. But if you provide that equipment to those big companies, they're going to strip it and use it for their standard practice, and that tube's going to be dead. And so I had to go up and negotiate with a bankruptcy judge. Ended up moving 70 tons of equipment, 7 United Van Line trucks full of used equipment. I had never made a picture tube in my life. I had to go out that Sunday after church. Patsy and I went out to find a warehouse or someplace to put the stuff because I didn't have a place, and we found a place on Big Run Road. And so Labor Day of 1982, we unloaded 7 trucks worth of equipment, and I met, fortunately, a customer while I was sitting in the Advent waiting room. He had a British accent, and he said he was there to get 3 picture tubes that Advent owed him for some time. They had a flight simulator, and they were wanting to use projection. And I had to tell him, there's no power here. Everybody in the back has been laid off except for the front office people. I'm not sure what they're going to tell you, but I said, I'm going to get this equipment. I'm going to move it to Kentucky, and I'm going to develop a very special tube, which is much higher quality than these consumer TVs. Fortunately, I had a business card on my company I just named, left it with him. And within a few days after returning to Kentucky, I got a call from that company. And their purchasing agent came. At the time, I was going into this plumber's warehouse with all this used equipment, and he was kind of shocked that he thought I could do anything. Their point he made to me was, this was in September, he said, if you can make us some tubes before the end of the year, we'll consider buying some from you. But if you can't, then we're going to have to go with Sony or Hitachi and go more standard. So December 17th of 1982, we shipped a red, green, and blue picture tube to Rediffusion. And they called me after they tested them. They said, these are actually better than what Advent made. And there's no way they could have been, but they needed them so badly that they liked them. They ordered 90 tubes from me, and that's what got me started. So.